Hong Kong with more on this. What is China's reasoning and what's going to be the effect or possible effect of this?
Well, this is a significant hurdle for U.S. media in China. It's also another sign of the downward spiral in relations between Washington and Beijing. Now, a Chinese media credential is usually good for 1 year, but when journalists from a range of U.S. media companies, including CNN, Wall Street Journal, and Getty Images, attempted to renew that credential last week on Friday, they were told that they were not able to renew it. Instead, they were issued new visas, valid for about 2 months, lasting until around the time of the U.S. presidential election in November. Now, among the journalists affected are non-U.S. citizens, as well as U.S. citizen and our Beijing colleague, David Culver. In response, CNN has issued a statement. We have the statement ready, and we'll bring it up for you. In it, CNN says, one of our Beijing-based journalists was recently issued a visa valid for 2 months instead of the usual 12. However, our presence on the ground in China remains unchanged. We are continuing to work with local authorities to ensure that continues, unquote. David Culver was told by Chinese officials that this decision was not in response to his reporting, but was a, quote, reciprocal measure in response to the Trump administration's treatment of Chinese journalists in the United States. In fact, it was earlier this year when the Trump administration decided to limit the stay of most Chinese journalists operating in the country. And if their visas are not extended or approved, they could be forced to leave by November, again, the time of the U.S. presidential election. On Thursday, we heard from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Its spokesperson, Hua Chunyi, addressed the issue of tit-for-tat journalist visas. She said this, quote, we bring up the statement for you, the essence of the media issue between China and the U.S. is the U.S. political persecution and suppression against the Chinese media out of the Cold War mentality and ideological bias. If the U.S. keeps moving further down the wrong path, China has no choice but to make a justifiable and necessary reaction to firmly uphold its legitimate rights, unquote, hinting of more potential reaction to come in this ongoing tit-for-tat. Back to you, Michael.
Yeah, and how could it sort of affect the media environment in China? I mean, coverage inside the PRC?
Oh, it will definitely affect coverage inside the PRC. Now, again, the statement says CNN's presence on the ground in China remains unchanged for now. But I also should add that we've learned that Chinese authorities have warned that temporary press credentials can be revoked at any time. All of this is dependent on what the United States under President Donald Trump chooses to do next. Now, this uncertainty, the ongoing visa round on top of it, just creates a very uncertain reporting environment in China. This will affect not only our ability to report on the story, but our global audience and the American audience and their ability to have a broad and deep understanding of what's happening inside China. The ongoing visa route has been so costly. According to David Stillwell of the U.S. State Department, he says, you know, look at the number of U.S. journalists left in China. Only a handful are left. Michael.
Yeah. Kristie Lu Stout, good to see you. Thanks for that, covering this from Hong Kong for us.